Hello everyone, my name is Khalid and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the first steps I took to learning figure drawing. But before we do, please support me by clicking the like and subscribe button. What is the first step? What is the first step that I took to learn figure drawing? So the first step is called gesture drawing. So what is gesture drawing? The gesture drawing is a very fast and simple way of capturing the figure and the movement and the motion that it is in the figure. And it usually takes about 1 to 2 minutes to do the gesture drawing. So when I first started trying to figure out what is the first step and how do I start learning figure drawing, it was universally suggested to start with gesture. I was a little bit hesitant at first because I thought it was almost a waste of time to try and capture something in just less than 2 minutes. But since it was universally accepted that this is one of the most important steps, so I decided to just give it a go. So my goal was to do 100 2-minute gesture drawings to see the improvement that I get through the process and how that helps me with figure drawing afterwards. 100 gesture drawings might seem a lot, but considering that it's only 2 minutes each, it actually goes by pretty quick and you end up doing them very, very fast. Also, one of the important things that I think is to time yourself to try and keep them in 2 minutes. And this practice or this exercise, the purpose is quantity, not quality to begin with. And the reason I say this is the more you do, the more you know how to capture it. And if you think 2 minutes is too short for you, just try to do as much as possible or as much of the gesture as you can in the 2 minutes. And as you do more and more of them, you'll see that you're able to finish the entire gesture in less than 2 minutes. If you're new to figure drawing and gesture drawing, I suggest you start with simple poses. You don't want something that has lots of foreshortening or dynamic poses. Start with the simple ones, and as you progress through this exercise, you can do more complex ones to test yourself. One of the things that I mentioned earlier was that you want to really capture the motion of the gesture. So in order to do so, there are a few things that we need to be conscious of and a few things that we need to avoid to ensure that the gesture does not come off very stiff and that the movement is really shown in that short little gesture. The first suggestion that I have is try and exaggerate the gesture. The reason I say this is that our mind usually likes balance and symmetry, and we would, if we're not conscious of this, we would try to tend to make the gesture very balanced, and therefore it might look very stiff. It's also very easy to bring back the drawing into a more balanced state during the construction and the anatomy phase. But as far as the gesture goes, I suggest you start practicing exaggeration of the pose so that you see the fluidity and you see how dynamic the pose can be. The second rule that I want to talk about is to avoid symmetrical lines. So what does that mean? So what I mean by that is we really want to avoid these shapes here when we're trying to draw the figure. And the reason for that is our mind really likes to complete things. So your mind will see this kind of closing it off. And this is what might result also in a very stiff body. Instead, what we want to do is try and let the lines flow. So what that means is you want to have it this way rather than the closed shape that we have here. So you want the lines to flow from one to the other. So we can go ahead and jump into the example now. So we start with the head first, with a sphere. If you want, you can indicate the direction with just some lines. Then we move towards the neck. Then we want to capture the kind of the gesture with the spine first. So Usually you do the spine with 3 different lines. The first line, then the second side, bring it like that. Then we go towards the bottom of the spine, then the pelvis. Then the next step, once we want to move towards the legs, always start with a weight-bearing leg, also with 2 lines there, and then the bottom side of the leg and the feet. Then we can do the same with the other leg, and the bottom side of the leg and the feet. Then we can move up towards the arm, and as you can see, the one arm, because of the way the gesture is, the shoulder starts lower than the other. You can see the line that way. So we can start with the one arm. Again, you can do 2 lines and 2 lines again. Same with the other side. The other arm goes down first, and then it comes back up. Once you have this kind of gesture done, we want to give it some volume by adding some wrapping lines. So we start with the chest and the pelvis. Then we go towards the legs, the other leg, and then finally the arms. All right. Okay, let's move on to the second example. So in this example, though the gesture is different, the steps are pretty much the same. So we start with the head again. Circle or sphere. You can add some lines to indicate the direction it's facing. Then we move towards the neck. Then we go towards the spine. And the pelvis. Then we add the load-bearing leg. Then the feet. And the other legs as well. The bottom side of them. Then we can move on towards the arm. You can see where the shoulder starts kind of in the middle of the body. You can see the one arm coming out and then going back. Then the other arm is in the back, so we can't really see it except for a little hand in the back side there. So after that's done, we want to add the wrapping lines. So for the chest area, and then for the pelvis. Then we can add them for the legs. And then finally, we can add it for the arm. Thank you for watching the video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't so already. And see you all in the next video.